Warning: the radio broadcast you are about to hear was made by men and for men. It may at times seem a little rough around the edges, brash, and certainly not canonically approved by papal authority. But its content may indeed challenge you to become the man, father, or husband God has called you to be. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the latest edition of The Obligation. My name is Jason Murphy, and I'm so glad you're here. As we approach the upcoming Catholic Men's Conference of the Carolinas on March 5th at St. Thomas Aquinas Catholic Church in North Charlotte, we've been featuring some great speakers and guests, including Keith Nestor, Tim Staples, and Dr. John Acquaviva. Today, we're sitting down with one of the conference's most faithful supporters and sponsors, Steve Cunningham. Steve is the founder of Sensus Fidelium, which is an online blog and collection of Catholic homilies, apologetic videos, and other resources to help us grow in the one true faith. Literally translated, Sensus Fidelium means sense of the faithful in regards to each person's own personal appreciation for the faith in the spiritual sense. Here to tell a little bit more about his apostolate and his own journey of faith, Steve Cunningham. Steve, welcome to The Obligation.
Thanks, Jason. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I am so glad you're able to take the time and be with us. You've been such an awesome sponsor of the men's conference and supporter. How did you? I guess first off, how did you get involved with the men's conference? How long have you been sponsoring? I know for the last few years that I've been coordinating, you have. Were you involved in the last prior to that?
I want to say I was at the first one. It was at St. Matthew's.
Yeah.
And I jokingly in the email said I'm stopping the mooching off you because I've been getting free tables out of you. I figured I'd pony up and help you out a little bit this year.
Oh,
but
well,
the first table, I didn't even have a cover. I just had a table. I don't think you was there for that one. I don't know. You might have. And I had a couple sacramentals, and that was it. And then I moved out to Denver for a few years, and wasn't into the time zone, much less the area.
Yeah.
And then when I got back, I think a friend told me about that it was still going on.
Okay.
And so I reached out, tried to get it because I'm all about trying to find a table somewhere. If anybody wants to talk about it, or if I can get the channel in front of somebody, I'm gonna figure out a way to do it. So.
Yeah. No, it's great. I mean, we like our sponsors, and it was tough. I came back on about 3 years ago for the 10th annual, and I think we had peaked around 750 guys in like the third or fourth conference going back, and then I got kind of out of it for a few years. My family took off. I guess the first conference we had one child, and up until 3 years ago we had 5, and we just had number 6. So I had kind of, life took off, and once one excuse pops up, the second excuse pops up a lot easier. Than before you know it, you got a basket full.
I don't know how some of y'all do it. I only got 2, and man, it feels like I need about 6 of me in here just to do something.
Yeah, it's a wild ride, that's for sure. It's a lot of fun, but it's very busy. Always something going on, but a great life. So tell us, a little bit about Sensus Fidelium. Let us know kind of what the mission is, when you founded it, and so we can kind of, understand. And
the mission is peaky in the brain. You pondering what I'm pondering.
I hear you.
Trying to take over the world.
There you go.
And I'm not joking. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Cristeros, the movie Greater Glory, came out about 2013-ish, give or take. Yeah. 2012, 2013, and I'm part of the Knights, and we were. I didn't know we were supposed to be promoting it. In a sense, I saw one of the magazines and it said we were supposed to be doing this marketing and blah, blah, blah. I thought we did a terrible job, to be honest. There's plenty of Catholics that have no clue that movie existed. We went to the theater, my brother and I, and a friend of mine that died 2 years ago. Came back into faith, thanks be to God. I don't know how he did. Awesome. We got him back in, but he moved out to Arizona. Anyways, so the 5 of us went to the movie, No. The three of us went. There was 5 or 7 people in the theater, and the other people probably knew Moses, as they were older than you know.
Yeah,
they were very, very old.
Right.
I got mad about
That's
this.
pretty much every night's meeting, though, isn't it? Sorry, I'm a 4th degree as well, so I can make that joke. So.
Oh, yes. So yeah, I had this. There was a sermon that priest did that 30 minutes long on the history of the Cristeros, and I went, all right, well, I know there's some sermons on video because when I was coming back into the church, I was working out listening to these sermons on YouTube. And I figured, what if I could put that up? And I had no clue. I literally had no idea. You could put a gun on my head, pull the trigger. I would have just told you to pull it. If you would have told me, hey, here's, you have to make a video or die. No idea. So I'm texting people, calling people, how do you make one of these?
Yeah. And
I jokingly said about 6 beers later, I figured it out. And it was the worst video you could probably make because it was all blurry, it's choppy, it's photos that are probably about yay big resolution, probably about like a 10 pixel, and he tried to expand it, really ugly looking. And that was the first video. And then I went, all right, if I learned something from anything I hear, I'm going to put it up. And over a decade later, I think 10,000 videos later, I'm still putting them up. Awesome. Literally at least one a day.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I see on YouTube, you've got well over 200,000 subscribers. That's pretty amazing work.
210 on YouTube, a couple thousand on Gab and Rumble, another 2,000 on Odyssey. BitChute's got 2,000 or 3,000, and Gloria TV's got about 1,000.
That's awesome, man. That's great work.
Again, I'm everywhere.
Hey, gotta be. We've been given so much. It's our responsibility to give back. Especially in the faith. And you mentioned coming back to faith. Maybe did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, it was one of those. How would you say? Punch by time card Catholics back in college. And
oh, I hear you. I'm right there. I'd mentioned earlier. I'd spoke to Dr. Ray Grundy, and I've pretty much stolen his phrase. He refers to himself as a revert. And I'm right there with him because it sounds like he fell away for a period of time. Of course, look at him now. He's, such a great voice in Catholic circles and promoting the faith. And I myself, same thing, kind of grew up nominal Catholic, fell away in my teens, fell really away in my 20s and was able to, finally, through the grace of God, make my way back. And so here we are. So I don't know if you want to share a little bit about, kind of growing up or your family, how, what's, where are you from? I guess start off with you're from around the Charlotte area.
No, I was born in Florida actually. So everyone calls me either in the South, they call me Yankee, and the North, they call me redneck. So I still I'm Cuban, so they hate me anyways.
I'm from Louisiana. So, hey,
hey, there you go. Yeah. My mom's from Cincinnati, dad's from Illinois. So, grew up in Cowpen, South Carolina with this accent. Wow. You get looked at kind of different.
I've seen that sign. That's about all I know about Cowpens. I've seen the sign.
Yes, if you blink, you go by. We have one traffic light. I remember when Hardee's came to town, there was a parade. We grew up there. South Carolina is 2% Catholic, as you probably know, and practicing pretty much even less.
Yeah.
Went to Catholic school. All the thing I remember is Sister Ursula had varicose veins and black hair. And they still got kicked out of the parish after the priest came in. Basically just, mom was the Catholic, dad wasn't. Dad converted a year before he died back in 2017, awesome. 2007, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So mom was doing it for us, and basically all we cared about when we were kids was playing ball. So, pick a sport: golf, bowling, baseball, basketball, football. We were into it, watching it, playing it. I played college basketball and baseball. So nice. It's one of those things. If my mom would say, if my mind was set to it, nothing's going to stop it from getting done. You want me to get on a team? I'm going to find a way to get on the team.
There you go.
Which transferred over to this. My dad's work ethic and marketing skills. He was a salesman for years, and he ran a family business, bowling center back in the 80s, and then a sports bar in the 90s. So we were working. I remember being 8, 9 years old, saying, "Hey, can I go with Dad down to Toccoa, Georgia, and help work at the bowling center and things like that?" So as far as I remember, we were always working, doing something. And then if we weren't working, we were playing.
Yeah.
If we're playing, we were studying
hard.
something. And
Yeah.
remember, so, but yeah, fell away in college. Didn't really, what care at all with the mass. So was putting myself in mortal sin every Sunday by going to receive communion, and maybe every so often I do confession. Remember, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, ran I want to say I ran the city of Columbia a few years when I was a trainer there, and
Okay.
going to all the bars, and everyone knew when I was coming in. Cunningham came in, and yeah, one friend of mine that ran a bar. His best compliment was before he died was Steve's conversion was impossible. So I take that as a hey,
wow.
thanks.
So what brought you back? I mean, everybody's kind of have that one pivotal moment or period that you can look back on that really kind of shook you up. I mean, if you're okay to share,
Probably my dad dying.
Okay.
I guess it wasn't at the time. He always preached read. I have a Larry Bird book somewhere around. It was my first book. He always said, read about what the greats did and things like that. You want to learn how to play ball, read. You want to learn how to do this, read. You want to learn to do this, read. Stop watching a DVD, read it. Okay. And we didn't read until after he died, and I got a job as I was a trainer at the time in Columbia, and then I saw what was going on with this was right when Obama got elected, and I saw that I might not have a job here because people's income is not going to be coming to me. It's going to be going to something that they need. And let me try to get into, I don't know, the medical field somehow. An exercise science degree background. My brother just got a job with Stedman Hawkins at the time. So he called me up, said, hey, I got a guy that works medical sales. He needs an assistant. Came up, rode with him, done. I was hired that day. And while getting in the car, I started listening to talk radio, and that changed my politics because I came out of college pretty much a straight up commie. I mean, a neocon commie. If there was such like that, I was a neocon commie.
Okay.
Weird, I know, but if you look back at it, I was gun grabbing, bomb of the Middle East, all that. You just warhawk. And then that changed my politics, and then people started saying, I started posting on Facebook that stuff I was listening to. And my brother saw it. He goes, well, if he's going to do state stuff for Lent, I'm going to do church stuff. So church and state type deal. Yeah. So he started posting a saint of the day for Lent.
Okay.
And I was seeing it, and I was watching a little bit, and people were starting to text me up. What's wrong with your brother? I go, I don't know. You talk to him. I don't know. He's saying the Catholic Church is the best, is the true church, is the only church, is the greatest, all this. And I go, well, you're an SEC homer. What do you think? The SEC is the best college football, league in college? And he goes, yeah. I go, is that opinion or a fact? And I didn't hear back. So that was my first apologetic one. I had no idea. And then my brother finally got on me. He goes, he just sent me a text because I was looking at his stuff, but I wasn't doing anything else really with it. And because ignorance in Scripture is ignorance in Christ.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, fine. That was my, boots in my butt. And I read that week, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I went, all right, what's next? And led me to Fulton Sheen's World's First Love book. This was like 2011. Watched a bunch of stuff on EWTN, which I never thought I'd ever watch in my life. Found some other things he'd send me on YouTube. I was just like eating it up. All right, send me more. All right, let's graduate from this, graduate from that. And I remember seeing the St. Mary Magdalene having 7 demons. I just remember that sticking out going, wow, I did not know that. What else did I not know? And speaking of, you got Tim Staples coming this thing. He was one of the guys that really got me ticked when my brother comes down, Chapin, South Carolina, Our Lady of the Lake had him come in for doing apologetics talk or a weekend of talks. And we go up there, drive up to it. We sit there and I'm going, here's this convert. I've been hearing this thing my whole life. Here's this guy that's only been here for, I don't know, 10 years. But, and he can run circles around that. It was one of those manly challenges. No way that should happen. I should know more than that guy.
Yeah.
So it was one of those healthy, manly challenges that just got me like, man, that ticked me off that I didn't know what he knew at that time.
Well, that's very similar.
That just steamrolled from there.
I mean, that's very similar to Tim's story, because Tim grew up, I guess, non-denominational, was inspired by the likes of Billy Graham and Jimmy Swaggart, and really didn't have much faith. Went to the Marine Corps, was inspired by another soldier who was Catholic, and he was challenged. So that lit Tim on fire to join the Jimmy Swaggart Bible College in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is coincidentally where I'm from.
Operator, what you did mouth that.
and I guess right about the time he was there, in my faith journey, my mom one Easter Sunday decided to take us to Jimmy Swaggart for Easter Sunday services, and so it's quite possible we would have been in that same building at that point in time. And so, Tim's goal there was to prove Catholics wrong. That's what, but the further he dug, the further he found the truth. And of course, now we look at him and such a renowned apologist and just all around Catholic, and look forward to, getting him, for the men's conference, but a great story. You start digging on everybody's story, look at these, these converts and these, like you and I, these reverts, we tend to be on fire once we figure it out. We're kind of lit, we don't just kind of go along to get along. We kind of go along to change the world. So
I just got that personality on that. When I was playing basketball, I would shoot till I made 500 threes from behind the arc at 5 different spots. Not shoot, but make.
Yeah.
And that's not including inside the arc and all this. So I was doing it for 6 hours. So when I get into something, I'm all in.
Committed. I hear you.
And
absolutely.
And then throw in the grace of God on all this too, because sometimes I'll look back and go, how do I know if somebody says something? Where did that come out? I don't even know what day it is. How did I respond to that? I go,
yeah.
That guy's showing everyone that this idiot can speak something smart every so often.
Absolutely. He's behind us. That's for sure. So yeah, another huge convert going to be there at the men's conference. Keith Nestor. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. 20
He's a fan
years.
of the channel.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, 20 years evangelical minister, and then converted, and now of course he's on fire and praying the rosary online every single day with huge amounts of followers, and just promoting our Lord, Our Lady, the faith, and super exciting. I think it's going to be a great day. But so I wanted to get into a couple little things. We might get a little controversial here, and that's okay, because I think we'll work through them, and it's all for the greater glory of God. So I wanted to bring up, and kind of let's talk about the Synod a little bit, because I've got my own kind of particular opinion about this, and I've kind of butt heads with a few, and I don't even want to say butt heads, but maybe had a differing of opinion, and like you're probably similar to when we kind of fixed on something, we can be kind of stubborn. I don't want to say you're stubborn. I know I am 100%. But when it's for the truth, we're certainly going to defend, and we're going to stand up for it as much as we can until we are the truth is revealed to us. I certainly don't want to go against any truth. So we've got this synod going on, the synodality, right? I kind of perused the website. We had this letter read at all the churches, and first of all, for me, and it's not easy to confuse me. So let's just get that out there. I'm easily confused. So I'm by no means, if you're looking for someone who's going to absorb it quickly, I'm probably not the one. However, it's very confusing for me. I'm trying to digest it. To me, in my opinion, it sounds like getting a whole lot of opinions and sticking them in a blender and mixing them up together and pour them into a big shake and seeing what we got. And I'm like, why do we even need to do that? So I'm gonna shut up here in a second, but I kind of watched some of the some videos. I've read up a little bit. I looked at their site, which was very confusing, and the words and the kind of the themes that I heard throughout were communion, participation, celebrate, unity, and mission. Those are not bad words. However, I did not hear anything regards to obedience, sacrifice, humility, prayer, or repentance. To me, this sounds, just a little bit kind of like, again, maybe just us having this conversation is a positive thing. It's part of the synod. We'll just call it that. To me, it's very, very, it's kind of like academic doublespeak. there's a lot of big words that all put together sound real great, but when you look at them closely, it's a lot of confusion to the common man, and I'm very common, so I'm very confused. So I'm trying to get to a better understanding, and maybe you can help me out, because something that resounded in my head was We Are Church. Have you heard of the We Are Church movement?
Yes.
So, okay, so this is kind of, We Are Church movement is a movement that advocates changing the teachings and structures of responsibility and authority of the church, pretty much handing it down to the faithful. We are church. And I've heard that there's been incidences where the people who kind of adhere to this will go up for communion, and it's when the body of Christ is presented, instead of saying amen, they say, I am. That's just my 2 cents. I probably have a lot more, but since I've said all that, I want to kind of go ahead and pass the quan to you and get your perspective on the Synod.
There's a couple things you said, like doublespeak. That's, what the communists use, doublespeak, and confusion and words. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to say the word infiltrate. We've been infiltrated since the beginning. So,
100%. Absolutely.
there's a book when someone says there's a crisis in the church. There's literally a book called The Crisis in the Church by Philip Hughes. And I did a series on every council in the church with Alan Finister because of that idea, because people had no idea that there was problems before 1970, really, 1960s. You've done more research than I did, because I heard about the Senate, the letters, and I went, yeah, don't care. Not reading it. Why? I knew that this. All right, here I'll go in the waters.
How about this? How about we take a quick break, because I know we're going to go deep. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back in just 1 second. And you're listening to Steve Cunningham from Sensus Fidelium on The Obligation. You know how guys are. We wait to the last minute to do anything, whether it's Christmas shopping, birthdays, anniversaries. You know how we do it. We wait to the very last minute. Well, it's coming. Catholic Men's Conference of the Carolinas, March 5th, 2022, St. Thomas Aquinas Catholic Church. Need you to get out there and get those tickets, man. Need to see you in those seats. We have an incredible lineup, including Keith Nestor from Down to Earth Ministries. We have Dr. Ray Garunde from EWTN's own The Doctor is In. Catholic Answers, Tim Staples, apologist, speaker, author, and our own Dr. John Aquaviva from Faith and Sport here on the Carolina Catholic Media Network. Join Bishop Jugas and the priests and seminarians of the Diocese of Charlotte for a day of fellowship and prayer. Confessions will be heard all day. Gentlemen, this is a great reset. If you've pulled away, gotten lazy, need a kick in the bottom, need to get back moving in the right direction, this is what the Catholic Men's Conference of the Carolinas is all about. Go online right now, www.catholicmenofthecarolinas.org. Use the promo code RADIO and save $5, and we will see you there. Be a better father, be a better husband, be a better Catholic, be a better man. God wills it. God bless, and Esto Vir.
Did you know that 90% of older adults wish to stay in their home as they age? Aging in place has many benefits. It tends to improve quality of life, which in return improves physical health. Also, retaining independence as we age is critically important to our mental health. Hi, my name is Meredith Dignan, and I am the president of Harmony Home Solutions and an active parishioner of St. Patrick Cathedral. We are your trusted partner for aging in place. We strive to enhance the lives of older adults and their families by providing premier aging-in-place and universal design lifestyle solutions that increase safety beautifully. Now is the time to get your aging-in-place plan in order with Harmony Home Solutions. Visit our website today at hhsclt.com. Again, that's hhsclt.com. Or give us a call at 980-220-8821. Again, that's 980-220-8821. We want to help you live an empowered and beautiful life.
Welcome back to The Obligation. We are sitting down with Steve Cunningham. Steve is one of our great long-term sponsors of the Catholic Men's Conference of the Carolinas. And we're talking about the Synod, trying to get a little bit better understanding. I'm pretty confused when it comes to the Synod. I'm hoping that Steve can maybe shed some light or at least some perspective. So Steve, let's get back to it. What do you think?
I think they want you confused. I think that's the whole part of the program. That's part of their idea, is they want you confused. I don't know if you've seen like Cincinnati, Diocese Cincinnati, the October, they closed down 70 parishes and called it good, good thing. Chicago last week closed 123 parishes, said we got to become more mission church.
Yeah.
Wait, time out. You're closing 123 parishes, and then you say we're trying to be more mission. Why don't you be missionary now and then keep those parishes open? But again, we just got done, a year and a half of bishops closing down churches for us over, I'll go ahead and be even more controversial, a scamdemic. It's been a lot. We've been lied to for the last year and a half. If you're upset at that, come talk to me. I got plenty. I run Clown Planet News, and I got evidence with links, many of them, that can prove my argument. And I think from the beginning of this, from Pachamama on, the whole idea is to get rid of the faith. And Patrick Wood in Technocracy Rising in 2018 he's not Catholic, wrote about the new religion according to the gospel of Laudato Si. You see that with the environmentalism stuff that are coming in. Everyone's talking about environmentalism. Yep. I'm big in right when the reset started coming in. I've been digging deep. I got all the books right here. I've done videos on it. Schwab is in with the Vatican. The Vatican's in with WEF, Davos. What was the group that got knocked out easily during the lockdown? The New Right parishes. Nobody. They have not come back to their numbers. Not even close to their numbers. We joke saying, hey, COVID killed the Novus Ordo. What's been growing? The traditional mass, the traditional parishes. What's under attack right now? The traditional parishes, the traditional right. So in my mind, this is I got tinfoil hat over there if you want me to put it on.
I'll put mine on too.
My thing is, because they talk about this world religion. There was a sermon I have from 6-7 years ago where Father said, I don't know what this world religion initiative thing is, but it's just coming out, but let's keep an eye on it. Wood talks about that in his book. Many others talk about it in their books about this new world religion coming out, and you hear kind of that sometimes from Rome. You got to kill the past to have something new, just like this whole build back better. How do you build back better? You got to destroy to build back.
Yeah. Yep. So
my personal opinion, fallible as it is this is all planned. They're upset that people are going back to mass. You don't close down the world from the sacraments because of the sniffles. I know there's a little bit more than sniffles. I know it. I'm around. I didn't do any of this. I didn't muzzle up. I didn't stay away from people. I lived like nothing happened.
Yeah,
I'm totally fine, and nothing has changed besides I still work out. I still eat right. No one's hurt. No one's been told that one. It's you got to muzzle up at the Vatican. You can't do this. You can't have this. You can't have this. Now they're going after people that are Orthodox. There's something to, again, you don't have Turkson, who's a commie, and that's coming from other people like Michael Graney, going to Davos all the time and having Pope Francis, translating his speeches, who's lovey-dovey with Schwab, and nothing happened. They had the Rothschilds last year talking about the stakeholder capitalism program. It's still on the Vatican website. You're going like, these are the worst of the worst, and we're pushing this. So again, it doesn't help our cause throughout the world, but you see like Vigano and Burke and Strickland and others, when they call this out, this is what gets me jacked, is I see Vigano especially call out what's going on in the takeover, and secular guys flock to him.
Yeah.
And they flock to Bishop Snyder and others when they start calling this out, going, that there's a Catholic bishop calling it. They see what we're seeing. If the church would lead the way, we'd be out of this. And that's the thing. I know the 100%. Bishops are in a rock and a hard place. When people say that we need a bishop, or not just talking about just not naming a bishop, we talk about any bishop. You want your bishop to put the law down? Yeah. They'll be like St. John Chrysostom or Athanasius. They'll be kicked out as fast as you could think of, set the X out. They become a saint. You ain't going to have them, though.
Right.
We may need a few of those, and we're going to have to suffer. But it's personally, I think, buckle up. It's going to get worse.
I agree. I agree. I mean, that was one of my major points when this pandemic lockdown, mask up situation all came out. I mean, I understand at first we kind of didn't know what was around the corner, but after 6 months, after a year, we knew what we were facing.
Right.
And I honestly felt the same as you felt. I felt like again, I love my bishop. I pray for our bishops, all of them. But I do feel like if the bishops would have stood up to all of this insanity, all of the other churches, all of the other Christian denominations would have stacked right up behind the Catholic Church, because that's what they do, especially when we go toe to toe when it comes to abortion or homosexual marriage or any of these other major, issues. And this is a major issue. This isn't just some side note. No, this is a major issue that disrupted the world. And if we would have stood up and said, you know what, we're not closing the churches. Okay, fine. If people want to wear masks, they can wear masks. We're not going to do this mandate. We're not going to even talk about or think about this vaccine thing. The other denominations would have stood up, and you have a majority of Christians in this country. And and I don't even want to get too political here, but I do agree on that point that the Catholic Church could have led the world. And of course, there's just not enough bishops that will do that. I get it. But again, I've even told, local pastors, I'll be standing front, if they come down and they say, well, you got to have a vaccine to enter, I'll be the first one in line saying no. And then I know that there'll be guys behind me and we'll stand there and they can take us all. He said, well, I'll be standing there too, and they can take me. So
that's coming. I mentioned that a year ago. I said, hey, what's going to happen? There's going to be a day a year ago. It's on the rundown show that I used to do. Now I'm doing News from the Pew. I told people, you're going to have to go to mass by showing a passport one of these days. The digital currency is the end game on all this. You have to have you have to have the virus, which they tried with SARS before, and they tried with swine flu. 60 Minutes still has a video about that, the basically the lie that they did back then from Fort Detrick on. And it's the same thing being played out. Even the AIDS thing that's going on right now. There's a video, you watch it from back in the 80s, you're like, I heard that last week. It's the same thing, and we're just getting, I don't know if we just quit thinking back in December 31st, 2019 or what, but it's right in front of our nose, and we're not doing anything about it. But when we get the digital currency come out, and with 2026, there's an article about cars having a kill switch on them.
Yeah. You
see what's going on in Australia, now Canada? You think that ain't coming to the USS of A? It's going to happen. Personally, my opinion is 2029 is when the 100th anniversary of the Fatima
that'll be interesting.
Press not being heated. Notice, and he said, the kings, the popes are going the way of the kings of France. It's either going to it's going to get worse leading up to that day. Maybe a miracle comes that's so incredible that everyone, even atheists, have to say, that's heavenly right there. But yeah, when that QR code and the digital currency comes in, lights out.
You just wonder, Our Lady spoke about Russia being the great scourge, and, not to say that we're, anywhere near any of that, but, we've got the Russian-Ukraine situation. We have an incompetent president. Sorry if you're out there, listen to the warning at the beginning of the show. We're brash and certainly not canonically approved. But conspiracies are now, the latest news updates. So,
yes.
But we could travel on down that road. But I want to peel back here because really, ultimately, it is good and evil. It's a battle of good and evil. We know that. We know that the church is engaged in war every day, every minute. So all of that we just spoke about, it all ties in to what is going on in the church. It goes to this confusion, to this tearing apart, this destruction of the past, and it smells a whole lot like Vatican II. And there's still a whole bunch of people out there that'll still defend Vatican II and say, oh, no, there was more meaning behind it. I'm like, okay, fine. You will know a tree by its fruits. And if you look at the fruits of Vatican II, they are nil. Okay, you might have some fancy words and documents that were produced, and Humana Vitae came out of that period of time, I guess. And there were some, certainly some good things. But as a whole, if you look at that time period and you look at what happened to the church, and you look at the closing of seminaries, convents, churches, priests fleeing their vocations, nuns fleeing their vocations, this smells a whole lot like what they're trying to do here. And I guess some of the perspective I have on this is if the bishops and the Pope would stick to the faith as traditionally understood, instead of trying to once again adapt it to our common secular ways like Vatican II was, that's inarguable. we would see a more fruitful and authentic church, and not this watered down, obscure interpretation of what the faith is in every parish from their own perspective, from the charismatic to the traditional, to the moderate, to the whatever, it's nothing. And it's so disconnected. Our local seminary here is a perfect example of that, because I do believe that our diocese has something very special. I think our bishop and his, priests who have, put together this wonderful seminary of St. Joseph, it's flourishing. I mean, 40 plus seminarians fleeing to this seminary to join and give their lives to Christ. Larger dioceses in the country are either closing or have a small fraction of what we have here in Charlotte.
Yeah, and
this is not due to an evolution or a new understanding of what the faith is. This is a return to traditional formation in humanities, in philosophy, in liturgy, and not just this cutting edge, keeping up with the Joneses secular formation. And I don't know why we haven't learned from that. I do know why, because the devil is constant attack of the church. But to me, that's where it sounds like. And going further, of course, we talked about, the attack on the traditional Latin Mass, which if you go and pull the numbers and you look at the faithful there, if you were to take a poll, and these polls are all over online, anywhere you want to look in whatever paper, less than 50% of so-called Catholics even believe in the real presence. Mm-hmm. If you were to take that same poll in a traditional parish environment, you're talking about 95% plus are going to believe. And we can go down the line from definition of marriage, divorce,
And those numbers you're bringing up are just the numbers of those going to Mass.
Yes, correct.
I remember my brother going, how was it, as he said, 6 million Catholics in the world or something like that. 25% of those go to Mass. 25% of those actually believe the teachings of the church. Right. I mean, so the number is getting, and now, everyone listening knows people that they haven't gone back to Mass in 2 years since they've been told by their bishops not to go to Mass, or their priests not to go. Now, I know some good priests that open the doors and going, hey, we're open, and God bless them for that. There's a lot of priests out there for that. You got to back them up. Pray for a priest. But yeah, no, it's a pride thing. Nobody wants to admit that the last 40 years of their priesthood was worthless or destructive to the church.
Yeah,
leadership.
Correct.
The real pandemic is bad leadership. If you had a good leader, you'd go, all right, I screwed up. Here's what I screwed up on. Here's what I'm going to do to remedy that mess up. And we're not going to do that again. And you would go right to it. Every across the planet, numbers have dropped, like you said. Nobody wants to look at the elephant in the room, which would be an easy thing to hey, maybe it's because of this. I could have screwed up. Nobody, layman to bishop, the Pope, nobody wants to say, I screwed up. I need to redo this. That's the problem. Pride is the killer. If we had, true humility on that, I messed up, but I'm going to be a leader on this. Yeah. This is what we're going to do from here on out. Kind of like the NFL. They steal from, if you do one thing like the Wildcat one year, somebody did it. I think it was Miami. Yeah. And it worked. Right. And everyone wanted to steal that play so they would win. So our idea is the opposite. Hey, we see what Diocese of Charlotte's doing. Nah, let's not try that. let's continue doing what's not working, and let's close 123 parishes and call it a good day. Yay! Hey, that's kind of what I've been big on the. You can see the Holy Face image a little bit right there. I got 4 relics now. One in there, and I got 3 that Father Carney sent me just the other day that he touched to the veil. And it's the only apparition. I'm doing a thing at St. Thomas in a couple of weeks on this. It's the only apparition that called out communism by name and our Lord told Sister Mary St. Pierre, I want you to make war on the communists. Here's your weapons. And it's, blasphemy against our Lord's name. Not keeping the Sabbath. How many people you see doing that? These guys, like Leon DuPont, the greatest miracle worker in the history of the church. Nobody's ever heard of the man. He would punch a guy in the face if he heard somebody blaspheme our Lord. Like King Louis would brand somebody because they did that. What do we do? we laugh.
Yeah.
And our Lord talks about how terrible that is to it. And I was telling my wife this. You look at France, all about from the Sacred Heart, from the image about the not consecrating the Sacred Heart, and all of a sudden the French Revolution hit, which it has not ended. And I remember before I came back into the church, I was telling a friend of mine, man, a lot of this stuff is seeming like French Revolution continued stuff. Famine, the inflation, the pornography, all this is still going on. Look at that as like a global thing coming out. I'm reading a ton on this, for this presentation, and you're going, man, so France goes, so goes the world. And I'm reading, looking at going, that could be said today for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a mess. It is a mess. I mean, we can focus on the mess and we can be upset by it, or we can, one of my favorite quotes, and I used it the other day. And until someone can correct me, I'm crediting it to Walker Percy, great Southern writer. But until someone correct me, and I may be wrong on it, it was mentioned to me by a priest years ago, and it's always stuck with me. But in a time of bad poetry, it's better to write good poetry. In a time of bad poetry, instead of complaining about that poetry, it's better to write good poetry. And so I think, that's how I kind of look at it. Yes.
I did a podcast called Good, taking Jocko Willick's, I think it's his top video, when he talks about, you get fired? Good. So I put, this was a couple months ago, and I need to do a part 3 where I put this closed down, this got taken away, this got taken away. Good. Job, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away.
Yes.
Now, what are we going to do about it? Now, I tell my trad friends, unless they kill us all and squash the internet, these guys are going. This is an attempt, because they know they're dying. All these old guys, the haters are old. Mm-hmm. This is a desperate move to try to squash before they become worm meat.
Yeah, agree.
We're gonna be all right. It's just smile, have some joy. There was that I talk about all the time. The bishop in Vietnam during Saint Theophane Venard's time, they're all getting killed, and his motto is 3 cheers for joy.
Well, just like the Cristeros, Viva Cristo Rey. I mean,
we should be happy we're getting. If we're, it's kind of like when Sheen talks. They talk about Sheen's days. It's much easier to be a saint now than back then when we're number 1 on TV, where everything's good. Happy days are here again. Now it's time to embrace the suck and see how much you really like it.
Yeah. Man, great chat. You're sitting here on The Obligation listening to Steve Cunningham. We'll be right back.
"2022 is bringing many new and exciting changes to our Carolina Catholic Apostolate, built to communicate how to better learn, love, and live our Catholic faith. We begin with our name change to Carolina Catholic Media. This reflects the expanded scope of Carolina Catholic Radio to include the development of our podcast, streaming, social media, YouTube, and direct marketing platforms. 2022 is a very important year for the Catholic Church. As a result, Carolina Catholic Media will feature more local news, information, and conversation to reflect what's happening now and how it impacts our local Catholic community. Throughout the year, Carolina Catholic Media will showcase our Catholic schools and homeschools, the Charlotte Diocese 50th anniversary, and the 2-year worldwide synod process that begins on the diocesan level. We encourage you to get involved, join us, and catch the spirit. The Carolina Catholic Media Apostolate is a 501c3 nonprofit. We are 100% funded by you. Please consider a donation, monthly tithe, or business sponsorship to support our mission and vision to spread the truth of Jesus Christ and our Catholic faith across the Carolinas. Thank you for discerning a role in our apostolate. May God bless you abundantly.
And we are back. Steve Cunningham and I from Sensus Fidelium been talking about the Synod, talking about the restrictions on the Latin Mass, and in the fight, the good fight, what we need to do as good Catholic men in this world that we know is under attack, that our faith is under attack. It's we need to be proactive. We can't sit and complain. We need to, be proactive, be on the battlefield, rosary beads in hand, Our Lady and our guardian angels and all the saints with us. So we're talking about, kind of the change, what maybe is being perceived coming down with some of these restrictions on the Latin Mass, which we know in the last few years has been thriving. It's just growing and growing and growing, and traditional seminaries are thriving much more so in a much greater speed than any of the local dioceses. I mean, excepting maybe the Diocese of Charlotte, and there's probably a few others out there that are probably adhering to more traditional styles and practices of formation. But I was listening the other day to a podcast, and I wish I could remember who it was. But he was kind of talking about the different, modes and different pieces of kind of the new rite, the Novus Ordo per se. Even the music, if you look around, you go to an average Novus Ordo mass, depending on what parish you're in, the majority of guys are not going to be involved. The guys are just, it's a very feminized music. It's a very modern, it's a difficult tone to follow. And he was making a point that whenever even the Our Father is just chanted, in a solemn tone, you see more people engaging because it just shows that reverence, and it just has a certain spirituality about it that is handed down, over the generations of such beauty. Have you noticed that? I mean, what do you think about because the music sets a lot, and
the music wants to make my ears bleed in the New Rite.
Right there.
I remember my last Good Friday, I went in the New Rite, and somebody had a flute. I told my mom I'm about to go Animal House up there.
Yes.
Jim Belushi on it. No, it's when St. Thomas started their traditional mass. We go there now because it's an hour earlier for kids. Notice we had the we're the ones with the kids, and we have the late masses where the kids are nap time, lunchtime, and the families are trying to keep them from losing their minds. And we get that. Why don't you throw the old people? They ain't going anymore to the late ones.
That's true.
2 cents. Sorry. Back to the regular schedule programming.
Yeah.
But people there, they weren't traveling people. They were parishioners of St. Thomas, and whereas most parishes people drive to. And we'd ask a couple of people, why you like this? Why are you coming here? Because the music is so great. I don't know what's going on up there, but just the choir sold it for me. And I'm here just losing my mind in heaven on the choir. I go, perfect.
Yeah. It is. I mean, and I've told this story, and I won't go too far into it, but my reversion basically came through the traditional Latin Mass, and this happened to me, as a 21, 22-year-old alcohol. I mean, I wasn't technically an alcoholic, but, an abuser of alcohol, drugs, women, whatever I could abuse. I was abusing at that time, pretty much fell on my face, had nothing left. I was at my rock bottom, and a friend of mine recognized a crucifix that I had on my wall and said, "Oh, you're Catholic." And I said, "Well, yeah, I guess so." And he said, why don't you come to Mass? And I hadn't been to Mass in years. I had zero faith at that point in time. And I was starting to entertain the thoughts of aliens and, other life forms and kind of just totally removal from reality and faith. And so I went, and it was a traditional Latin Mass in a very small chapel in Charlotte. And it was otherworldly. This is from a man who was coming from the dregs of hell, hadn't been exposed or been around anything spiritual. I saw this. I grew up in the Novus Ordo, so I knew about the Novus Ordo. And I mean, he kind of primed me. So I kind of knew it was going to be a little different. It was going to be in Latin, and it probably wasn't going to be what I remember as a Mass. But when I went, I can remember everything about that moment, and it changed my life. I went every single Sunday afterwards. I made a general confession of my whole life within about a couple weeks. And I went from that life to seeking a vocation and, entering into a traditional Latin seminary and really learning the faith. I mean, I went even within the first year to a 5-day silence Ignatian retreat. Yeah. I mean, these are things, these are otherworldly but when exposed to them, when people don't see them, the traditional Mass, it gets vilified. Oh, that's just the radical traddies. It's just, oh, they're kicking back. They just want to go against the Novus Ordo. No, we can go back to all the popes. Pope Pius V, dogmatically and infallibly in quo primum said, "It shall be unlawful henceforth and forever throughout the Christian world to sing or to read masses according to any formula other than this missal published by us." And there's multiple other popes since who have codified that mass. And so whenever Benedict came in and he revised the missal, I thought, here we go. Now we're at least going to have a literal translation of what maybe Vatican II was trying to accomplish. And I think that's being very generous. and that sort of ushered in a new wind in the church, and it brought more solemnity. Especially at my local parish, St. Patrick's here, and so the return to some of the smells and bells, you can call them, but just a reverency and a humility and a sacredness that the Novus Ordo, for me as a 22-year-old, never saw.
I remember my first trad mass was my brother tells me to come for a men's group for it, and it was in a gym. And we're talking a yellow walled gym, 3-point line. There's 5 people in there. Father's on a stage. First time I ever received on my knees, on the tongue, and I was blown away by. I'm going, man, this looks that. It was a low mass. I'm going, if this looks that good in this, imagine what it actually looks like in a real church. And from then on, I never stood again. I was taught to do this. Sister told us that's how we're supposed to do it. So that's how we did in the 2nd grade. I've been yelled at by priests since that day. If I had to go to a Novus Ordo mass because there was nothing around, kneel, stand up. And I had 2 bad knees. And I would try to tell them I let my mouth open. I can't get out. I had one priest shove 2 or 3 hosts down my throat like it was a kid with peas once.
He just didn't want to see you for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This is for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Your boss says it's okay.
There you go.
Yeah, the beauty is that's what built Western civilization. Sorry it's not something to condemn to anybody that hasn't seen it. Go see it. There's the challenge that Father Ripta, as we have a sermon on. Go to it exclusive for 3 weeks, and then try going back to the other mass. It's night and day difference. From the way people dress and act to the songs to, again, as you said, the reverence. And there's a line of priests use. It's a mess out here, the world, because it's a mess in here, the church.
Yes. Oh yeah, 100%. Totally related. I tried early days when I met my wife. She was a Southern Baptist. I tried to kind of bring her to the Latin Mass. That was difficult. I guess I sort of compromised. She became Catholic, and we attend the local parish. So I don't attend the Latin Mass regularly. I mean, I do firmly believe that that's of course our Lord, and that's it's his the church of. It's the Mass of the church and the liturgy. I do think there is a better way. It's unfortunate that we are where we are with the liturgy. But again, to your point, for people just to go and see it. I went to a funeral a couple of weeks ago. A woman had died who was very instrumental in my knowledge of the faith and coming back to the faith. And it was the Latin Rite, and there's just no comparison. It wasn't a celebration of life. I mean, I shouldn't say that. It wasn't a resurrection mass or whatever it's called.
A local canonization ceremony.
Yeah, exactly. This was a solemn mass for the dead, and it was, as the priest mentioned in his homily, we are praying for her. We don't assume that she went straight to heaven. We cannot do that. And I know in a lot of the funeral services, we assume that just because they die and they may have been baptized at one point in time, or they may have been, regular mass attendees, that they go straight to heaven.
All you have to do is die. That's the only prerequisite to get into heaven is to die.
Yeah, well, our Lord's very clear on that. And I hate to say it, but all dogs don't go to heaven. So and I please God.
They've been trying to go after the mass since French Revolution. You could say that too. Right before that, when the U.S. was founded, John Carroll, the first bishop, wanted the vernacular. He hated Latin. Mm-hmm. John Adams, the president, mocked Catholics for they speaking a language they didn't know. Guarantee the people knew Latin back then. That's why you read books prior to 1960, there's Latin verses in the books because they expect you to at least have some idea of what Latin is. Right. You have to kill the language of the church to destroy the religion. So when you take away Latin, you can't read the fathers. No offense to Scott Hahn and Tim Staples, that's all you got. I'd rather read Bellarmine, Alphonsus, and the Latin. Name a doctor of the church. I'd rather read them. Again, no offense to Scott and Tim and all those other guys, but we're so nobody knows Latin anymore. So you can't read the old guys unless you translate all their works, and there's a plethora of gold out there. When you start digging this gold, you want to find more gold. I mean, I was reading about St. John Chrysostom talking about St. Didymus, that he had greater faith than Moses, Abraham, and all the Old Testament saints and St. Peter, because they got to see him like St. Peter in his glory. But Didymus saw him on the cross, crucified, beat up, and he had more faith than all those guys that was the Christ. You don't even hear that in a sermon at most those sort of parishes. But hey, I went to St. Patrick's when we moved back here, and I'm thinking, just because you were talking about going, and I'm thinking, oh God, what did I do? I moved back from Denver to here. I was literally right down the street from the fraternity parish. We're going to another cathedral. Here we go, because I remember what it was back out in Denver. Happy clappy land, starting lineups. Hey, good morning. Welcome to your Sunday morning mass. At altar girl, here's Susie. And, stuff like that. They have that at Spartanburg. When I grew, like my parish I grew up, I got so tired. Like, stop giving the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Drove me nuts. But anyway, Father came in, had the canonical fingers, had a chasuble, a fiddleback. I'm going silent canon. I'm going, hey, we can work with this.
Yeah.
Everyone's at the altar rail kneeling. It's amazing what's going on in this diocese. A lot of people, there's some guys I know that hate on it, and I slap them upside the head all the time going, dude, this is better than every diocese that's out there right now. I've talked to ICK guys about the seminary. They go, what? That's happening? So that people are jacked about what's going on here.
Yeah. I mean, when we realize and figure out that we are not the focus, and our Lord is the focus, and I think there has been a big movement, especially in our diocese, to get the tabernacle back to the center of the church. And that was a big, push that kind of went along with when the new, the missal revision came out from Benedict. There was just kind of this understanding. Okay, we're going to start moving back to what we need to be, because when you do come out there, to your point, and it's some drama, and you're about how you're performing, and especially the cantors, or not the cantors. Well, yes, the cantors. We'll go ahead and say it, and the lectors. When they're reading, they're acting like they're giving, some sort of speech, and it's coming from their heart. I'm like, no, you did not write that. You read it. That's all you do. You read it, not with inflection and tone. Just read it.
On that point, my brother had to go to seminary for 3 or 4 years before he got ordained lector to be able to read. Now all you got to do is go to a sign-up sheet, and then Miss McGillicuddy can go up there and read, or Good Friday is a play. It's literally a play in the new rite. Oh, we got 5 people going on. You got the role of Christ. You got the role of these guys, and you listen to the Passion chanted. Just listen to the Passion chanted. I'll blow you away. How beautiful that is.
100%. Well, Steve, we have rocked the boat enough for one day, I think.
No, I don't give unpopular opinions. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, man, we're in the same boat. So hey.
I haven't even had my energy drink yet.
Well, I appreciate it. So we have the men's conference coming up. Got to plug that one more time. This is a great day of fellowship and brotherhood. Our motto, iron sharpens iron. This theme is Quo Vadis? Where are you going? I want these guys to be going to the men's conference. What do you think? For those out there listening right now that have not signed up yet, what can you tell them, Steve?
I mean, the lineup you guys got this year is fantastic. Like I said, I'm a big Tim fan. I know, and Keith is a fan of the channel. I know he's going to be solid. Dr. Grande he's a tremendous person at the EWTN. Never met him, but I always loved listening to his stuff back in the day when I had time to listen to these guys.
He's hilarious.
And if you get bored, come by the table. Nothing I'll have at the table is going to cost you a thing. I'm going to have sacramentals, Holy Face images that I printed that were touched to their first class relic. So everything I give away is free. Photos, sacramentals. I may have CDs, books. it's one of those things. I remember going when I'd go to festivals, people would say, "Hey, here's a free CD. I already know everything." "Oh yeah, here's my keys to the car. Can you tell me what that flag is?" And I still have my car. Nobody, if someone says they know everything about the church, they're lying. It's like if anybody's read all of Augustine, they're lying. But
All right.
yeah, come out, have fun, say hi to Jason, and yeah.
Yeah. All right. Find out more about Steve and his apostolate, Sensus Fidelium. You can go to sensusfidelium.com. If you haven't bought your tickets yet, you can go online to www.catholicmenofthecarolinas.org. Use the promo code RADIO and save $5. Steve, it has been a pleasure. We definitely have to do this more often.
Anytime, bud.
All right. Have a great day. If you enjoyed this program and like to hear more of it, make sure to go online and check us out at www.carolinacatholicradio.org. Click that donate button and we'd greatly appreciate it. There are also many opportunities to sponsor the show, the radio station, and the Catholic Men's Conference. Join Sensus Fidelium, Harmony Home Solutions, and Wallach Investments, who have pledged their funds to help keep Catholic radio on the air and relevant. Sensus Fidelium is a collection of Catholic homilies, apologetic videos, and other resources to grow in one true faith. They can be found online at www.sensusfidelium.com. Wallach Investment, LLC is a strategic moral investing firm committed to placing their clients' interests ahead of their own. Their mission is to be a force of good in their relationships to make the most of their clients' investment, giving them the time and confidence to pursue their mission. Contact Daniel Wallach at www.wallachinvestments.com for more information. For the Obligation Radio Show, the Catholic Men's Conference of the Carolinas, and the Carolina Media Network, my name is Jason Murphy. God bless and Esto Viva.